Retro Rangers, and we're playing a board game. Imagine that.
Imagine.
And today we're playing Seven Wonders. So let's talk about it, shall we? Alright, so this is the box of Seven Wonders, and as you can see, my box has been used quite a bit, but this is a really good game. We're going to show you what's in this box. Now, go ahead and forewarn you, I have all but the Babel expansion in here. But we're going to open this up, and here's your cheat sheet. Here's the stuff for your other expansions and the other wonders, which I've got all those. And then here's your main rule book. It's a nice, pretty rule book. It goes over everything. It's pretty simple to understand. It's actually a really short rule book, even though it looks long, because that's everything you need right there. Everything past that is just explanations for what the symbols and stuff means and how stuff plays out over the game. In the game, you have these boards, and these boards are your cities. Now, some of these are in the expansion, so if you buy the box and you don't see them, remember, I've got everything. Well, here's one from the main set. There's Alexandria, there's Rhodes, I believe Babylon's from the main set. I know the Great Wall's not. Petra's not. Giza is, the Great Towers of Giza. Or Pyramids of Giza. Rome's not. Olympia is, though. So there's Olympia. And yes, they're double-sided because you have a basic side, which is A, and a side that's, a non-basic side, which is B. And they basically just, it gives you options of play. That way, if you get stuck with the same city, oh, well, I can flip it over. But there's also ways to determine who gets other stuff, and there's another one from the main set. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's the main set too. I know that one's not, and I know that one's not. Should be 8 here. 7, I'm missing one. Or I'm not. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Whatever. Well, no, 7 makes sense. That's right, because the main game's 7 Wonders, 7 players. Only until you get the expansion. Not until you get the expansion. There's 8. So you have the seven Wonders, the 7 big kingdoms of the world. And at the beginning of the game, yes, you get these wonderful score pads, which they give you plenty. Unless you play this game a ton, I have barely torn into these things, and we play a lot. But to determine who gets what, you have these cards that go face down, and on the other side is the A and B side of the wonders, or the cities that you're going to get. And what it is however you flip that card, if I flip this card like this, well, B side's face up, so I would get this city B side. But if I were to flip it like this, well, that would give me that one on A. So, but they recommend that you start on A.
No matter what you draw.
Yeah. That's from the Leaders expansion. You've got coins that you can use. Everybody has coins that they get so they can buy stuff. You have your age cards, age 1, age 2, age 3. So now that you've seen what's in the box, let's show you how this game plays. Alright, so here's a basic setup of how this game is going to look. We're about a turn into round 1. We are running the Ghost player since this is 2-player. What this is basically there's a Ghost player, its hand sits in the middle, and the active player, according to, every turn, the active player changes. So, because it shows you, there's, you have the deck of cards there, and what it is, the active player draws the top card of this, and then they play a card for them and a card for them, and then the next turn the active player goes to me. If we had a third player, it wouldn't be nearly as complex, but whatever. This is just kind of how this would look. So on your turn, every turn, both players have a hand of cards, and your cards determine what you can and can't do. Your goal is to build a city and have the most points. Well, in my hand, I have a few cards here that can do things. Blue cards are your city stuff, your aqueducts, baths, statues, palaces, things like that. Green is science. The more science is also the neatest way to win the game as far as, but you will find everyone goes for science. Red is military. There's yellow that's not here. That's commerce. There's gray that's not shown here. That's more like your special wonderments, things like that. But on your turn, but what you do is you are going to pick one of these cards on your turn, and it's based upon what you can do. Like I produce gold, I produce gold ore and clay. My neighbors produce stone, and he produces wood. And on my turn, I can look at this. Well, this says it requires clay. So I make clay. So if I wanted to go for a war strategy, I could play this. Now what it is on my turn, but all players go at the same time. So I would pick one of these cards, and I would set it down face down in front of me. Now, I cannot play this one because nobody produces glass, and I have no means of getting glass. Anything that doesn't have a cost in the corner is free, and most of the time they increase the things you can do. Like this one would give me a stone, this one would give me more ore, this one gives me gold ore or clay, but I have to pay 1 for it. This just gives me 2 victory points. So on my turn, on the turn, I would pick the card I want to build, and I would say I want to build this one. I would set it face down in front of me, and then I turn and look at the back of the cards, and it says pass to your side, and then he would do the same. He'd pick one card, lay it face down, and then he'd pass to me. Now again, this is just, we're going to ignore this just to show you, and then at the same time, we reveal, I have this, so I now have 1 military faction, and he's now producing fabric. Textiles. Fabrics. And then you pick up your cards, and then now we look again. Here's those commerce cards I was talking to you about. And here's the gray cards I was telling you about. So now I have options on my next turn. This requires stone. Well, I can buy stone from him for 2. But I also have these commerce cards. And these commerce cards are really nice. Like the West Trading Post. This says that any one of these items produced, clay, stone, wood, or ore, the player to my left costs 1 less. So everything's about strategizing. But for this one, well, I know I'm going to need glass at some point. So I will lay that one face down, and then we'll pass again. And then we reveal. Well, now I produce glass. John pays 1 to the bank. And we repeat play through age 1, age 2, and age 3. And as you go through the ages, the cards get a little bit more complex. They get better. Like in age 3, your military, you get stuff that produces a lot of military. You get stuff that gives you, you get a lot more science, but it also costs more. And certain cards, actually, you'll see this other cost up here that says training grounds. Well, if I wanted to build the circus and I had the training grounds, this means nothing because the training grounds makes it free. But it's all in, there's so many things that go on here that just, it's a game that's based upon luck. Luck of the draw, luck of the pass, and knowing what your opponents and everyone around you is doing. The more players you have, the more complex it gets because the player relations are a lot more interesting. But you play this until everybody has played 6 cards from every age, unless you add the expansions. And then after that, you tally up the points. And everything on your board is going to give you points, from your military score, to your resources, to your commerce, to your... Yeah. And John's going to play a card. And yeah, John's actually going to do something really nice over there. John's building a wonder. If at any time during your turn you have a card you don't want, you can, and you've got the resources to build it, you can build a wonder. And wonders are these things at the bottom of your card, and they all do different things. Giza gets a lot of points. These are all victory points. This gives him 3 victory points. This lets him play a card for no cost once per turn. Mine gives me 2 military, so I would automatically win military. In between ages, you do military skirmishes and things like that. But the game's really fun. It sounds complex, I know, but it's actually really simple once you understand the symbols. So that was Seven Wonders, and Seven Wonders is one of those wonderfully unique games that, well, it's really interesting and seems a lot more difficult than it actually is. John can attest to that.
It's basically one of those. The first game is a whole lot of who am I, where's my pants. The second game is, okay, I got this shit, it's game on.
Yeah. It's one of those games that I want to introduce to everybody, but I fear introducing it to new players because the first game's a throwaway game. Almost always. Yeah. Because there's a whole lot of them going, wait, what is this symbol? And what is that symbol? And what is this symbol? And while there are symbol cheat sheets, you know they've got something in their hand when they start going, oh, where's that cheat sheet? What is that? Okay. And the first game will usually take a while. It's not a difficult game to pick up. It's actually really easy.
But it's the symbols.
There's a lot of memorization of symbols. But once you know it,
you know it.
You can play, a 5-player game of this takes about 35 minutes. Like, seriously, a 5-player game does not take long. You can play up to 7-player in the main box. You can, with the expansions, you can do up to 8. But Seven Wonders as a game is really fun. It's effectively Age of Empires, is how I like to explain it.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
You pick your faction, you're building your city, and you're really just building your city. You're building your commerce, you're building up your resources, you're sending money everywhere, you're fighting your borders, you're protecting your borders. And really and truly, it's an amazingly fun and simple game. You can play them really quick. The less players, the faster it goes. A 3-player game of this, 25 minutes. Tops, if the players know what they're doing. The more players, it tends to drag out a little bit because you've got more like revealing and whatnot, and everyone's like starting to look all over the table. But, again, a 7-player game shouldn't take more than an hour at most. So, strong points to this game is definitely it's quick, it's simple. The strategies the strategies are never the same because it's the luck of the draw and the luck of the pass, and you're having to pay attention. And now the downsides: science is broken, badly broken. I like this designer. He does some really great games. He also designed Takenoko and Ghost Stories and Tokaido, and there's several other games he's designed that are really, really good. But he always likes these really wonky scoring mechanics in the middle of the game, and science is the wonky one for this one. If you don't stop a player from running away with science, he will run away with the game. Flat out run away with it. The closest you can get to science, if somebody's focusing on science and you can get to focus on blues, it'll be a close match. But again, science is going, like, the way science scores is just, it squares itself. So it just gets up there really, really fast. But outside of that, it's a drafting game. You draft cards, you pass them around, you build your cities. I really like the game. My friends really like the game. As you saw, my copy is not in the best of shape because it sees a lot of play. I mean, there'll be nights where we'll play 4 or 5 of these in a row and just have fun with it. I mean, it's an amazing game. So my final verdict is I give it a 4 out of 5. I know that's probably the score I'm going to give a lot of games, but it's fun. It's simple. Once you learn it, it's simple enough. The first game's a bit steep, but I really enjoy it. My friends really enjoy it, and I think everybody, like, I've not met somebody that's played this that didn't like it. So, would you agree with that, John?
Absolutely. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 as well.
All right. Well, thank you for watching.